This is a refresher video. Refresher videos are for those of you who are already familiar with arm knitting, but just need a little guidance to get through one spot or another. Let's review the cast on. So for this demonstration, I'm going to use 3 cut ends together. So I have my 3 and I'm just going to wind some off of this yarn, and I'm actually going to push the yarn balls off to the side because there's no reason for you guys to have to watch them float around. So to get started, the first thing I need to do is to make a slip knot, but I want to leave a very long tail on this because the cast on that we're going to use takes up quite a bit of yarn. So I'm going to pull 1, 1.5, that's about 1.5 yards. Approximately from your fingertip to the center of your collarbone is about 1 yard. So the first thing I'm going to do is make a slip knot. I'm going to do that by making a loop and pulling. I'm holding all these 3 strands together as one. So I'm going to pull it through and then I'm going to snug it up, and there's my slip knot. Okay, so I'm going to put my right hand and I'm going to put it all the way through the loop and pull it back, and there's my slip knot underneath. Now I want to tighten things up, and I can do that by pulling on the 2 separate strands. I don't want to make it too tight. I don't want to pull it all the way up to my wrist for 2 reasons. One is it'll hurt. And if you have so much yarn up here around your wrist, you will eventually cut off circulation and your fingers are turned blue and they'll fall off, and that's not what we're after. But more importantly, if the work is too close to your wrist, as you cast on more and more stitches, the stitches are going to move up towards your elbow. And for many people, the width of their wrist and the width of their elbow is not the same. So you have to keep the stitches loose enough that they can move up and down. Throughout the course of all of these videos, we're going to talk about working yarn and tail yarn. The working yarn is this one I'm pulling on right now. It's attached to the balls of yarn that I'm working with, and it will feed off of the balls onto the project. So that's the working yarn. The tail yarn is the yarn that is attached to the cut end. So for the purposes of this cast on, I want the tail yarn towards me and the working yarn away from me. So now I'm going to start casting on stitches. I'm going to insert the index finger and the thumb of my left hand between the 2 strands of yarn, and I'm going to spread them apart. Now as I angle my left hand back, I'm going to pull the slip knot down, and we have a V shape going on here. When I was taught this cast on as a knitter, I was told V for victory. So we have our V, we're ready to move on. I'm going to take the fingertips of my right hand, go under the strand of yarn closest to me from front to back, and then under the farthest away strand from back to front, and put that up on my wrist, and pull the 2 strands until they tighten up a little bit. Remember, not too tight. Each stitch that we cast on, we want to be about the same height. So let's do that again. Index finger and thumb between the strands, pull them apart and pull the slip knot down. V for victory. Under the front strand and through from front to back. Under the back strand and through from back to front. Pull both strands down neatly. Get that up on your wrist so they're all about the same size. Let's go slow one more time. We have 3 stitches cast on now. Insert your index finger and your thumb between the 2 strands. Angle it back. Pull that slip knot down till you see your V for victory. Put your fingers under the front strand from front to back, and under the back strand from back to front. Put that strand up on your wrist. Pull the 2 strands together and snug them up. One more time. V for victory. Under front to back, under back to front, up on your wrist, snug them up. So we're going to keep going until we have 10 stitches cast onto the right arm, and that first slip knot, that counts as a stitch. So I have 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're going to go 6, 7, 8, get it up there a little tighter, 9, 10. So I have 10 stitches on my arm. They're about the same height. Now this tail yarn, I'm not going to work with that anymore, so I'm just going to push that tail yarn off to the side.